Please welcome to the stage Principal at PwC, Adam Stafford.
All right, good morning, and welcome to Cloud World Day 2. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning to discuss the business value of Oracle Cloud. My name is Adam Stafford. I'm a partner with PwC's Oracle Cloud practice, and I'm joined by my colleague Sarab Sarbalia, partner in PwC's Fit for Growth Value Transformation Office, as well as two of our esteemed guests and clients from Mayo Clinic, as well as from UPS, Carrie Grunke and Eric Quavnin. We'll bring you up on stage in a few minutes. So team, today we're mostly going to focus today's conversation on hearing from Carrie and Eric about how their two industry-leading and top-performing organizations were able to identify and realize true business value outcomes with Oracle Cloud program. But before we kick off today, we'll start with a brief overview of how PwC helps our clients focus the organization on the right levers to achieve sustained outcomes with cloud programs. So we'll start with a brief value equation. When companies embark on an ERP transformation, they do so, more than just for technology's sake. They're really looking for business value outcomes. So that's why when PwC engages with our clients, our focus is really on helping clients to determine where to start in their cloud transformation journeys. At PwC, we like to call this the North Star of business value. So as we look at the different levers that can be activated through the business value equation, first and foremost, we'll start with KPIs, key performance indicators. Really the value levers that are activated across any process area: order to cash, record to report, procure to pay, et cetera. We'll also look at operating model, where work gets done and how work gets done. And then finally, total cost of ownership, looking at the total cost of your applications, your technology, your security, and your infrastructure landscape. We like to call those the X factors in the value equation. But really, what are the catalysts or the business drivers that prompt or that serve as the driver for clients to embark on a cloud transformation journey? They really fall into a few different areas. First and foremost, business process improvement. I think all of us can relate to the notion of outgrowing legacy business processes, breaking down information silos, and really setting up a set of industry-leading practices to enable the organization to scale. Second one is business model transformation. The whole notion of, your companies are not stagnant. Everyone is looking to innovate, drive new products, new services, new solutions to their customer base. We'll take UPS for an example. Known as one of the global leading transportation and logistics companies across the globe, they actually had a business model transformation back in the mid-2000s with the acquisition of mailboxes, et cetera. Quickly became one of the largest retailers across the United States as well. That business model transformation creates both a challenge as well as an opportunity for the organization to realize business value. And then finally, applications rationalization. I think we can all relate to the notion as well of applications and technology really starting to proliferate within an organization over time. Whether it's through niche application purchases to solve particular business functions, or whether it's major applications that have been acquired or that have come into the organization through acquisition, we start to see technology environments grow, scale, expand over time. This is often referred to in the industry as technical debt. And what you'll hear from Carrie and from Eric today is how PwC helps our clients to take that technical debt and turn that into technical equity. So as we segue into the conversation here of bringing both UPS and Mayo Clinic into the conversation, I'd like to close this section by highlighting the notion that it's really important to integrate business value into the fabric of your cloud ERP program. At PwC, we like to say that value is not something that just occurs at the end of a project once you go live. You've got to really deliberately activate value-based activities and events throughout the life cycle of your project in order to realize the right business outcomes. And so with that, to truly achieve, to bring this notion to life, now what I'd like to do is bring Carrie, Eric, and Sarab up on stage And we'd like you to hear from UPS and from Mayo Clinic. Carrie and Eric.
Thanks, Adam. That was beautiful. He's so articulate. But sincere compliments aside, he raises an important question around outcomes. So when we started exploring this notion around realizing business value, we conducted some secondary research. We also did some primary research, more pointedly focused on Oracle Cloud that we'll talk a little bit later about in the session. But we started with some secondary research, more broadly about cloud transformations. Turns out that only about 14% of organizations that embark on it realize business value. And only about 3% actually sustain it. Doesn't that kind of suck? I mean, think about the amount of investment and effort and energy that's going into these things. Here's the thing. Those that actually realized value were twice as likely to say that they had clarity of focus and clarity on outcomes, the business outcomes that they were looking to achieve. And everything else flowed from there. So the concept of outcomes gains an outsized importance in this paradigm. So let's start with outcomes. So Eric, let's start with you.
So thanks, Rob. We'll start with our customers, right? Our customers are first. We need to make sure that in this ever-evolving industry, we're always meeting them where they want it to be. You know, delivering what matters when it matters. With that, we aim to drive our best digital experience, whether it's on your app on your phone, tracking your package, doing a delivery intercept, getting it delivered somewhere else, whether it's through M&A activities such as Roadie, which gives same-day delivery at your doorstep. But like any good fiduciary, we had to choose what we invested in and when we invested in it. Throughout the years, we focused heavily on our operations, heavily on our customer experience until now. So now is the time that we're able to focus and invest in our back office. But that gap in investment, it led to inefficiencies in our processes, inefficiencies and in complexity, rather. And these outcomes, due to what we've seen, are pretty clear, right? We want to reduce our cost functional friction between the various groups within F&A, outside of F&A, et cetera, reduce complexities, and then really driving simplification, standardization, visibility to reduce the overall F&A cycle times, leading to also improved agility and ultimately efficiencies.
The clarity of focus. Can you break these macro outcomes down into some specific initiatives that you were looking to drive? And like what metrics were you looking to impact?
Yeah. So one of the things that we did as part of this, the entire transformation, is the redesign of our chart of accounts. With that, we looked for around a 60% reduction in our account structure, specifically in our GL account field. That assisted with our standardization across of our business units when we roll up and aggregate our financials. We're looking at a reduction in our overall close cycle from when we close out our GL to our management reporting. Looking at reduction in our manual journals and tracking those as we move to more standardized processes, improve our overall integrations, et cetera. And then visibility. We're implementing additional tools around how we're doing our audits. And really there, we're automating some of those controls with the intent to reduce additional cost.
Fantastic. Eric, those are awesome examples, and thank you so much for sharing your approach to driving value with your program. Carrie, I'd like to weave you into the conversation now as well. Mayo Clinic, another organization that needs no introduction. 150 years of helping patients across the globe, going from strength to strength in really helping the community. Living in Scottsdale, Arizona myself, it's exciting to see all the expansion that Mayo Clinic has. So Carrie, as we get into the story about Mayo Clinic's transformation, why don't you tell us a little bit about what your outcome objectives were?
Certainly. Well, first of all, since you went into a little Mayo history, a little tidbit about our project, we named our project after Harry Harwick, so it's the Harwick Project. who was one of the first administrators at Mayo Clinic and partnered with the Mayo brothers and helped to implement the first accounting and billing systems at Mayo. So we continued his legacy as part of this work.
Awesome.
But for the serious stuff, as we look at the outcomes we are set out to achieve, for every dollar that we spend on the back office, it's a dollar that's not going to take care of our patients. And so as we look at that, back office efficiencies was one of the key items that we wanted to really support and an outcome we're hoping to continue to achieve. Another one is around a simplified user experience and reduction of that administrative burden for our staff. As we look at our frontline staff, they're exhausted from COVID and we need to take care of them. And just to help put things into context, Mayo was not a place that was in dire need of having to make significant change. We had very customized workflows. We have a very high level of service for our staff, but we needed to make sure that we can reduce that administrative burden and help them out. And then the third one is agility. And as you mentioned, we're growing in Arizona, we're growing internationally. With Arizona, think back when we were modeling staff, there's a lot of Excel and manual processes that we were having to do to support that. It worked, but not efficient. And so that's one of the things as we look, we need systems and processes that can scale with our growth, whether it's within the US or internationally. And Dr. Will Mayo said, science knows no country. And yet we weren't able in our legacy systems to be able to support the international employees the way they deserve to be supported because we had built in too much customization and complexity in our legacy systems. So soon, that's what we're going to be delivering to them. So really, back office efficiencies, supporting that front user, better administrative experience for our frontline staff, and agility.
Excellent. Once again, just really great clarity of focus in terms of what Mayo Clinic was looking to achieve in terms of the business outcomes with your cloud transformation. So thanks so much for that. As we work with clients on their value-based roadmap throughout the implementation, we also find that organizational complexities and opportunity to extract more business value often is upstream and downstream of core ERP processes. At PwC, we talk about value beyond the four walls of ERP. And so, Eric, to loop you back into the conversation, is that something you experienced as well in terms of kind of looking beyond the boundaries of the ERP and looking upstream, downstream in terms of where to drive efficiencies?
Yeah, without a doubt. With a finance technology transformation like we're undertaking at the moment, you need to look at it all. You can't just look at your ERP. You have to look at information coming in, information going out, et cetera. Just as an example, we've got well over 100 boundary systems, equating over hundreds of interfaces that we're dealing with, rewriting, and trying to improve on efficiencies, et cetera. One example of that is how we process intercompany. So we're processing over 2 million records a month for our intercompany. We operate not just a operational network, but really a financial network. So with that, we've got massive amounts of intercompany. As I mentioned, we redesigned our chart of accounts. So take our intercompany, teamed with our chart of account change, and in that interface, we are bringing in our counterparties, which then results in efficiencies on our consolidation process, as well as visibility into any disconnects that may occur through manual processes like accruals, et cetera.
Excellent.
Another example of that is really a broader UPS initiative, and it's around reporting. So we're bringing in an overall enterprise data strategy. With it, our transformation is one of the major components, and the intent there is to be able to link easily our financial information with other data sources, data lakes such as operational data, HR data, et cetera, and run analytics, increase profitability, et cetera, as quickly as possible.
Fantastic.
That is such an important concept to not be just reporting on what is happening, but also going upstream and influencing what should happen. Carrie, in addition to sort of going upstream and downstream from the ERP, the other thing that we've noticed is you really have to think holistically with a slew of levers, right, in order to drive change. So you have to think about policies, processes, data, technology, governance, op model, and really in order to truly affect enterprise change, right? Did you experience that?
Absolutely. I think that kind of takes us back to that simplification concept. One of the examples was around travel and expense. We had a lot of back and forth as you look at approvals and workflows there. But when you look at it, probably 99% of those transactions were approved. So we need to step back, rethink, challenge some of those policies, and also empower our staff so we weren't micromanaging them for things like travel and expense reimbursement. So that's one example. I think another one is around democratizing the data. And managers, so in the past, managers maybe requested a human resource type report. A centralized group would go process that. A day or two later, the manager would get that back and be able to do their analysis. We want to put the data, and that's what we're putting the data into the manager's hands, allowing them more of a self-service model on their time, on their terms when they want to do that analysis, and that also supports that agility concept I mentioned.
The other thing that we see is having a value mindset makes you go, hey, I'm about to touch an enterprise process anyway. So might as well make some tweaks, might as well make some incremental changes to be able to optimize and maximize the value I'm going to get. Did Mayo take that on?
We certainly did. That was a focus throughout. I think we established agile project teams early on, and they each tackled different topics and really to help with that transformation. So example, we didn't just configure all of our benefit plans within the system. We took the time, consolidated some of those that were either for smaller populations or maybe site-specific plans and consolidated those down. We didn't just build all the legacy reports and put them into our new environment. We decreased by about 6,000 reports and really made sure that we were focusing on those critical go-live reports to make sure that the business had the information they need. And we didn't just configure all the extra job codes that we had in there. We took the time to decrease, and we went from about 14,000 job codes to just over 5,000 job codes. So those are just a few examples of what we tackled.
Neat. Very cool. Eric, did UPS take that on?
Yeah. So, you know, we're always looking to hustle and drive outcomes sooner. One of the ways that we did that prior to even initiating our finance transformation, we looked at our overall delivery model as it relates to F&A, and we said, okay, how can we optimize our staff model as well as a location for it? So that ended up driving out additional costs. We were able to optimize locations, job models themselves, which then opened up additional funds, which ultimately helped fund this project that we're on. Yeah.
Were there other examples beyond the delivery model that you also pursued?
Oh, yes. So, looking at areas or areas for standardization, optimization, we've implemented RPA where we can. Mm-hmm. Part of this project itself, we identified a need to redeploy our account reconciliation tool to drive out additional non-value and really give our employees an opportunity on once again focusing on what matters.
I have one last question for the two of you, perhaps a catch-all. How did you use the concept of value as a North Star to do other interesting, valuable things during the journey? Eric, maybe let's start with you.
So we definitely wanted to streamline and standardize our processes, just like most organizations do. However, there's always a temptation that you want to overly customize our outcomes. So a big part of any transformation project is really around change management, resistance to change, et cetera. So part of our organization, finance organization guiding principle is simplify and focus. We want to make sure that we're driving that, and with that, it's driven us to really, when we're looking at customizations, we want to invest in areas that differentiate us in the market and make sure we're investing in the most appropriate ways, manner.
Carrie, how about you?
I think we had a similar mindset to UPS. One of our guiding principles was around adopting standardized enterprise workflows wherever possible, unless it was an area of distinctiveness for Mayo Clinic. And I think as we look at our leadership team, they definitely helped to lean in and help to support those concepts. We had finance at the table, IT at the table, HR at the table, but we also had our practice leaders, and they helped to represent the voice of the customers and make sure that that was kept top of mind throughout the project, which I think was really important in helping us stick to that guiding principle. We also did a lot of standardization on the technology side. We decreased our integrations by about 25%, and followed integration standards using 3 standard integration patterns. And that really, I think, helped us think through how the data was going to flow through our environment between our systems and help to support that technical design that we had.
Very cool. Those are both amazing responses. Thank you so much for both of you for sharing your insights. And to our audience, I have perhaps one last suggestion before passing it back to Adam. And so we talked in the beginning of the session about some of the secondary research that we've done and some of the deeper sort of primary research that we've done. We've been poring over the data, try to understand what differentiates those that are able to extract some value versus those that do not. We've distilled our findings down to 10 key points. We jokingly refer to them as the 10 commandments of driving business value from Oracle Cloud. You've actually heard about some of them today, going beyond the 4 walls of your ERP system. I love the way you characterize it, having a hustle mentality. Like if I'm about to touch an enterprise process anyway, might as well do some interesting tweaks to get additional value out of it. There is one more that we believe in that we'd like to share. So we talked today about, both of you mentioned this, that if it doesn't differentiate us in the market, it's not worth customizing. But what about those processes that do differentiate you? Well, for those, we say, forget the best practice, go for bold practice. Invest in those areas. So is that a hall pass for trying to customize? Not quite, right? There are always going to be a handful of things that make you distinctive. There are always going to be a handful of things that give you competitive advantage. And so for those handful of things, you should use your entire digital stack and the latest technologies to create a very different experience, a very different outcome. This outcome should be instantaneous, one click, predictive, and transparent. So let's make it real. You're about to implement order to cash. You're thinking about building a customer portal. You think CX is an area of distinctiveness for you. Well, might as well make this portal the best portal out there. If a customer is coming in and trying to input an order, make sure that it's predictive. It can predict what the customer wants based on its past history. Or customers like you also bought this other thing. Make it the Netflix of portals. Make it instantaneous and one click. Remove all friction from user behavior and the outcome that you desire. So if you're looking to upgrade, you shouldn't have to go and enter a whole bunch of details and your credit card details. Do not make the customer enter data that you have somewhere else in the organization. So make it instantaneous and one click. Make it the Amazon Prime of portals. Transparency. So if you've placed an order, let's put this in a very transparent fashion, connecting with our supply chain modules on a map and show them where the thing is. Like how Domino's does it. In the process flow of pizza making, it tells you where your order is. So make it transparent. So instantaneous, one click, predictive, and transparent. And so these and some of the other 10 commandments are important. We covered a few of those today. And the reason they're important is because when we look at the average data, for those that maximized value, every dollar that they invested in the transformation became $2.5. For those that couldn't quite maximize their value, every dollar that they invested in the transformation became about 60 cents. So there is a stark contrast between those who did and those who did not. But anyway, I know Adam loves talking about a lot of these commandments, so if you see Adam, stop him. He'll tell you all about them. Adam, I'll pass it over to you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Saurabh. And I heard you started talking about pizza, so we must be getting close to lunchtime here. So, group, just to kind of wrap us up on a few of the key themes that we heard from both Carrie and Eric, and thank you both so much for sharing your amazing stories with the group here. We'll just close with a few of the key themes that we heard. First and foremost, the importance of having a value North Star for each of your programs. From Eric, you had talked about the notion of if it doesn't distinguish us, if it doesn't differentiate us, it's not worth customizing. That enabled UPS to really stick to standard, drive automation, and really extract the full value from your Oracle Cloud program. So that was a great example. We heard about reducing technical debt and turning that technical debt into technical equity. Carrie, you gave some really good stats. 25% reduction in interfaces, almost 60 applications reduced within your enterprise, really reducing that technical complexity. And then group, we also talked about the notion that the recognition that value is not something that just pops up at the end of the program. It's something that needs to be deliberately included at each step of the way in order to drive real value outcomes. And both Carrie and Eric, you shared that on behalf of UPS and Mayo Clinic, so those were fantastic. Group, thank you so much. Eric and Carrie, once again, we really appreciate your time and being part of the panel. Saurabh, thank you for helping to facilitate this, and a huge thank you to Oracle as well for recognizing PwC as the global value driver of this Oracle Cloud world. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.